You're muted, Shirag.
Lori, nice to see you. Daniel, Jen, Jennifer, Brian's coming in. Steven, my man. All right. Let me just pull up my deck and we shall get started. So does anyone have some wins to share to start their day off and some of the work that we've been doing or aha moments?
I used the Med C on a prospective agent last night at a conversation about possibly joining our team.
And
So
how did that go?
it was good. I mean, just like with our clients, it offers a really nice framework. And I think, particularly with team members, expectation alignment is just key. So it was a really naturally flowing conversation and went really well.
Amazing. Look, I think that my favorite part about the Med C for staffing, hiring, and everything else is really the E and the D, right? Like their expectations. Some of the things that people expect, it's like you don't want to walk, you want to run, right? It's like, this is crazy. It's like, I don't work for you. And there are many, many people out there that are very entitled and feel if they pay you a commission split that you should be their employee. Right. So this is a good segue into our conversation. Right. Because look, here's what I want to just press upon you. You're not going to figure this out in a day, a week, or even a month. Like this stuff takes time. Right. And you're getting from the phase of I don't know what I don't know to I know that I don't know. And then you can start taking like actual action. Right. And building a team is like a very surgical process that's based around a very personal vision. Every one of you has a different idea in your mind of the purpose of your team and the people around you, right? And it's our job to help you at least get clarity on that, right? Like Lori, I work with individually as well. And she could tell you just in our first conversations, it was very clear as to what she wanted, right, Lori, what your team members wanted and how that structure would work.
Yes, absolutely.
And how have you seen that play out as you've started to slowly make these changes? Like, what has your feeling been and what has your team's feeling been?
Um, with us being able to really focus on the client experience, it's given us a perspective in terms of everything we do. How is the client going to receive this? How can we make it less stressful, as we all know here? And I work primarily with sellers, but I do work with some buyers too. It's very stressful. It's emotional. Um, and I have to say, I'm really excited about this Compass One because the emails of like, oh, well, where'd the calendar go, Lori? Or wait, did I get a copy of the listing agreement? I'm like, yeah, you did. Let me send it again. Like, I'm like, so I'm really excited about that because I think that that is part of the client experience to make things smoother. So, but going back to the bigger picture, everything is coming from how do our clients experience the service that we're giving? And it's given us just a way to determine how prioritizing what we're doing, and how to make it a better experience. It's really enlightening. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years, and yes, does that cross my mind? Yeah, all the time because I'm very, client centric, but not from a infrastructure standpoint. So it's been great.
So look, these are little things, right? So in building a team, it's small things done well. Right. So for her, we just wanted to get everyone aligned around the same thing. But look, you need to know if you're a duck, a caterpillar, a platypus, a tiger, like what are you? Right. So let's get into this because this will start helping us continue that conversation of clarity, right? Creating an irresistible recruiting message. So one, it's clarity in your value proposition. Two, who does your team structure help? Three, what problems does your team solve for agents? Four, how do you solve the agent's problems? Five, what makes you unique? And this is your competitive advantage, right? And then number six is how do we build the offer? And number seven, what do we actually do next, right? So here's the question. And this goes back to the beginning is have you spoken to your agents to find out what they value the most currently from your team? Has anyone gone through and done this? Okay, first thing we need to do, right? Number two, have you spoken for those of us that have staff on here? What are the agents using most on your team, right? That's another conversation that you need to have, right? Number three, from your perspective, like what do you offer agents? And number three ties to one and two, because a lot of times when I go through teams, what people think they offer, when you talk to the staff and the agents, there's a lot of budget and cuts that you can make because they don't use any of this stuff. They don't care about it. They don't want it. And we'll address that later in the presentation. Does this make sense, everybody? Like, this is how you get clarity in what's really valuable, right? So if you want to know what makes you a great real estate agent, go ask a bunch of your clients, what part of the experience specifically did you enjoy the most? And they're going to tell you. And this is what you can build your marketing around. All right, let's get to the next section. Who does your team structure help, right? Again, this is a clarity point. You cannot create an offer unless you know what's under the iceberg. Your offer is everything above the iceberg that people see. But what is the experience level of the agent your structure helps? Some people are for new agents, experienced agents, right? We have, as you see this shift of consolidations of teams, right? One of the things we're finding is we have certain teams that are heavily staffed that we work with, that their team is built for agents doing between $6 and $10 million a year, that have 5+ years in the business, that either don't want to make the investment into resources, that don't want to manage the people, want higher level training from people that have gone to 15, 20, 25, right? So you need to be clear. What type of business does the agent desire, right? Every agent has a different dream or expectation, Jen, in their head of who they desire themselves to be in their business, right? What type of time and availability, or what type of time do they have and availability to commit to the business, right? Like, that is a really good point, because there are some people that have great databases, that are great at generating business and do not want to close or work with any of the clients. I had talked to a client the other day. She has a team member that brings $15 million of business in, and she does all of it and just gives her a referral fee. But that's what she's good at, right? Because she doesn't have the time. And then, what is the agent mindset and personality of a good team member? Have you ever noticed that one bad attitude kills culture? Right? We have had to ask people to leave our coaching program because of the way they show up on the calls, the questions they ask, the things they put in the comment. It's not conducive to a group, right? Like, if this is how strongly you feel, you should invest in an individual coach, right? So you need to start thinking about all of this, right? So look, you're going to all go through this track again, because it would be crazy for anyone to believe that they're going to put all these things the first time around. But remember, mindset, performance, tactics. Our first goal is to get you to think about this differently than you do today, right? What problems does your team solve, right? So think about this. What makes real estate hard for the ideal agent you're targeting? I'm going to ask this to Stephen. Stephen, what type of hard, right, do people have that your team is ideally targeting and that your team structure solves?
What type of hard does our team face daily? Or
No. So say I'm a potential recruit, right? Like, you've identified me as a good recruit, right?
Mhm.
What is hard in my life and business that makes you want to target me? And then the next one is, what pain point do you solve, right? So I could have a lead issue, a support issue. So think about it from the context of what you have to offer, and you work backwards.
Yeah, I think what's hard in their lives is juggling working with clients and then keeping up with like the marketing. So like our team offers a lot of back end support when it comes to marketing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the next one is be specific, right? Like, marketing is think about this. Always remember the Schrag CCQ principle, right? When you say marketing and what you solve, is it clear what part of marketing you solve? Is it concise? Like, here's what we offer and and how we do it. And is it quantifiable? right? Because what you don't want people thinking, it's like, oh, they do all of my marketing. And then all of a sudden you and your staff that you so generously pay become their employees. And right, well, remember we went back to the last session, creating profitable splits, then the numbers don't add up for you, right? Things to think about, right? We don't need to rush to make decisions, but we really want to go into self-discovery for these questions. So we build the team that aligns with our vision and the profitability that we wanted to get out of it. How do you solve problems for agents, right? So think about this. What tools and resources do you provide? What mentorship and personal guidance does the team provide? Number three is, how does what you offer specifically solve the problems of the ideal agent and support the type of business they desire? So let's start wrapping our mind around an example. Leads, right? Like, okay, we give people leads, but what else do we do, right? So if you think about how do we solve a problem, right? So you could say, our team provides you Zillow Flex leads. We have 3 team role-playing sessions a week where we provide scripts, active feedback sessions, and we pay for Shrug Shot coaching so you can learn how to capture and convert buyer consultation. That's pretty specific on how you solve a problem, right? So when you start thinking about this, the problem that you solve is the destination, right? So when you start thinking about what makes you unique, anyone can offer leads. So how do you do it differently, and what makes yours better, right? What makes your support, your culture, and being around you and the access to you every day different than other people? Like, what's unique about it? It's like, think about it. Any brokerage could offer you a great split, but what makes Compass unique? Technology, culture, support, like it's very specific, right? And the other one is, what's your track record, right? Like, what gives you the authority and positioning to say, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's how I solve your problems, and here's why you should listen to me. So if someone asked me, like, what gives you the right to give this kind of advice, I could say I have 17,000 hours of coaching sessions plus exclusively with Compass agents. And I work with teams that have done over $500 million a year, grow and scale their business, people, operation, and profitability. That's my authority and positioning statement, right? It's like, what makes it unique or special? We only work with Compass agents, right? We don't work with anyone else. So we have 6 years of putting these things into place and understanding how the technology is integrated and how the best agents in America are essentially running their business here at this brokerage. Right? So you want to start thinking about, because this is what turns into your conversations with people, right? So what should you expect this to take you? It's like, what's the destination, right? If I join your team, Stephen, what kind of success should I expect? What should I expect to learn, right? What should it feel like, right? Like with your team sounds like it's kumbaya, right? You're a kumbaya group?
Yeah, for sure. I would say what success would be and like how it would look for them by joining our team is they'll become more consistent. So rather than having a business that goes up and down, their business will just go steadily up, which takes the relief off of finances and all that stuff because they can predict the future a little bit more.
Look, the last one is the most important, right? So there's a thing called the movement marketing pyramid, right? So if you think about it for your team, first comes the theory, right? If you join my team, here's what's going to happen, right? The next one is how we do it, right? And we've addressed that as well, right? And as a result of doing these things, you're going to now have what? 1 deal, 3 deal, 5 deals, right? So what does that equate to? Oh, 100,000, 50,000, 75,000 free time, right? That's the destination. Then the next part, right, is the top part of the pyramid. It's called transcendence. So if you had an extra $100,000 or 10 hours extra a week, like what would the impact of that be on your life, your business, and your bank account, right? And then they start telling you, and this is the feeling that people should get joining your team. It's that last part. It's why Tony Robbins is so impactful, because he ties the theory of his work, shows you how to do it, gets very clear on what the results are when you make the changes, and then we'll start mentally visualizing, walking through what that life looks like for you. And by the end of it, when you do one thing that he told you, you changed your own life, but in your mind, subconsciously, you're like, Tony Robbins changed my life. And should be all your conversations, right? It's the destination, it's the feeling. Like, this is the kind of information that you want to share. Remember, people want the destination, not the flight. You don't want to know how I'm going to get you somewhere. You want to know where you're going at the end of this, right? It's why people pay so much money for helicopters, because a helicopter, you don't have to go through the whole commute, and it literally puts you there. It's why people fly private, right? Like, you skip all the lines and everything. You're literally just on the plane. You just go there. So when you start thinking about an offer, right? It's, who do you help? What do you help them with? How do you help them do that? What makes you special and unique? And ultimately, where are you taking them? Right? So, like, if you look at this ratio we have, like, you should be spending 3 times more talking about the destination than, like, I offer a marketing person and this person and that person, right? So we're using Steven as an example today. Like, his destination is like, look, we have agents that have built brands, that have lead generation systems going, so they can just focus on their clients and continue to raise their top line revenue, and we take care of the rest. Well, how does that, and that leads people to go backwards, right? But remember, when you talk about the destination, if it's not the destination, people start having conversations about everything else. Who here has had an aha thought today? Daniel, raise your hand, because I know your business. This exactly. Right? So when we get into, like, our applied learnings for the day, what do we really want to do? You got to go back to the beginning and start getting clear on, like, look at what you pay for, right? Like, I pay for all these things. Then identify with your team members in one-on-one conversations and your staff what people actually enjoy the most and what the most people are using. That is the ultimate starting point. And then start to get clear on who the people are. Steven?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Like with the our value proposition, with this, doing better at pitching it and all that, how do you recommend we present it? Like, should we put it in a flip book? Should we do it in Google Docs? Should we do it in, like, what's the best way to do that, do you think?
Well, here's the thing. Don't worry about how to present anything. Worry about the clarity and getting to the right place first. And then
Okay.
the presentation is easy, because it'll organically come to you, and you can literally put it in any kind of way, whether it's a slide deck. The delivery of this information is less important than it being really, really clear to somebody.
Okay.
Right? Because clarity will align you with the right people that are coming for the right things.
Do you recommend we have a thing on, like, our website that solicits new agents, or work with the team kind of thing?
Are you actively looking for new people?
No.
So then on your website, your team page should show culture, community, ways you collaborate together, a what we believe statement, right? Like, how that shows up in your work. It has to, like, our team page has to be about people,
Mhm.
not these, like, weird bios that don't even sound like you. I've like looked at so many bios, I've rewritten a lot of them in one-on-one coaching. And it's like, you're such a great 3D person. And it's like, well, Shrag went to this university and he's prided himself in helping homeowners find the perfect home. Like, no one cares. It's not how people, like, connect with people, right? People connect with humans, right? And the more you can humanize yourself, the more likely you are to be in rapport with somebody. All right, now this is my favorite part about this group because it's small. We can actually have discussions, right? So thoughts, comments, concerns, fears, doubts, worries, hallucinations. What you got?
I have a question to everyone. So I'm just starting to build a team. I have a buyer's agent on my team, and I have someone who's studying to get her license on the team. So pretty new agents. What has been your experience bringing on an experienced agent? Because I feel like at that point, everybody has their own styles, the way they work. So can I throw that question out, Sharad?
Yeah. So look, again, if you have a system that's built for new agents and seasoned agents, it's fragmented, right? Your daughter's an anomaly because she's your daughter, right?
Yeah.
So look, everyone needs to plug and play into the same system. You know, you can't scale custom, can't scale one off, right? So if everyone has a different thing, a different goal, a different way you work with them, you're 100% you're losing money, right? Because you're doing something different for everybody. So there's no scalability or leverage in what you do. So
I would think also they're two completely different things. A new agent is the baby,
Yeah.
doesn't know how to walk. An experienced agent, well, what level of experience are you talking about? Is this someone who's great at rentals that's just wanting to learn sales and you can help them get to that next level? Is it, I mean, you gotta, I think we're trying to more identify what level of experience are we looking for where our experience, our team structure can really help them maximize their potential and by joining our team. Whereas we've also done it where we've gotten people in where they took so much of our time and they just never produced and they didn't even have a track record of producing being new agents. I that's not something, buddy, I want on my team anymore. It's a time suck. It's a waste of time, and then it takes away from my own business. So Sean and I are doing this because we're really trying to figure out where is that, what do we offer, and where is our sweet spot, and then who meets that, both in experience and culture and the other things.
Right. Thank you.
The other thing, to Brian's point, me and Brian are co-team leads, is we've made the mistake of carrying on too long when someone is clearly not going to produce results. We want to believe in people. We want everything to be great, but you have to be ready to cut someone who's not working faster than you want to. It's easy to put off, and we made a big mistake last year carrying someone for an entire year that never ended up doing a deal. Huge waste of time, a lot of lessons learned the hard way. So that's the other thing I'd say.
Thanks.
anybody else? All right, so when we get to this portion of this and everyone's just kind of just standing here, it means that they're just feel stuck. Does anyone kind of feel overwhelmed and stuck?
Well, I'm not feeling stuck, but I had a lot of things were coming up, some thoughts, if I would just want to share that while you're doing this. And
Yeah.
them was, as I'm taking this training in leadership and creating the team, I'm also thinking about, the other sections, buyers, sellers, prospecting, and realizing that if I'm going to be a good team leader, I have to be holding myself accountable and to doing those things at a level that I can show these results, show these successes, both with myself and then teaching that to other people. And so we can, I don't know. I mean, if I'm not doing it as well as I can do it, how can I be the team leader?
Yeah.
One is the one we're all trying to work on is the prospecting, is the making these calls. Sean's doing great with it. I got another agent on the team doing great with it, and two of us are getting better at it. But I just think as we start to implement these things, both on ourselves and for our teams, it's just going to all work more seamlessly.
I think to Sean's point, right? is over investing in people is something that everyone has room for improvement on. You know, there's this whole notion in coaching of accountability. And to many ways, I think accountability is stupid, right? Like accountability, you're an adult. Do what you said you're going to do in the time frame that you said you're going to do it. And if you have a challenge or a problem, you need to raise your hand and ask for help. If you find yourself trying to convince people to have their potential reached, you're in the wrong business. It's not therapy. You're not their parents. You're running a business. So remember this, everything you say yes to that you should not, meaning over investing in, you're taking time away and you're saying no to something that actually matters. All right, Anthony, what do you got on your mind?
Well, for me, I think a lot of the struggle is, balancing self-production versus taking the time to actually lead a team. And some of the agents, it's like, I can go out and get the deal myself, but I also want to train them. So where's that balance in the progression to expand the team, but still, focus on your production as well?
Well, it's first, it starts with looking at every person and ask yourself, what is the purpose of this team member? Right? And the purpose of a team member is to help you reach your visions, your goals, and everything else, right? Remember the rule of one sale, right? If you could sell one more house, believe me, it's easier to sell one more house than make 30 grand off of somebody and dealing with them for 365 days a year. That's why leverage is so important, right? Like if you look at Lori's, correct me if I'm wrong, her entire team model is supporting her, correct? Yeah. Like that's the purpose of her team. Right. And everyone has, and like you look at Steven's team, like he's built a really great business of supporting people in this one niche that people are consistently struggling and challenged with. Right. Julie's had some tough conversations recently, or has been working through them, right?
Yeah, Shrag, it's so funny. I was just looking, you had the perfect description of how I formed my team. I'm new to Compass. I've only been here a year. The team was formed kind of like, what was it, feast or famine? I forget what you said it was. Like it was crazy. And so I'm in the beginning phases of trying to unwind and reset. And so this is all very interesting to me, but I have a lot of work to do. That's what I've realized. To keep yourself being productive, to rearrange splits, to figure out really where we're going and what we're doing. And it's overwhelming at times, but it needs to be done. And it's at the end of the day, if it's done right, it'll be a lot better than it has been.
It's small things, right? All of it and everything leads to overwhelm, chaos, and not doing anything.
Right. 100%. And I appreciate you saying small because I tend to want to swoop in and make it all better in one fell swoop, and it doesn't really work that way. And I need to spend more time working on the clarity pieces that you're talking about and quantifiable pieces. And that's going to take a little time, and that's okay. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's not a matter of beating yourself up for what you did not do right. Right? Like it's like you just have to acceptance is like the first part, right? And look, I think I'm not a big like, well, I tried and like, trying is not doing, right? Like the whole Yoda thing. But here's the reality. You all made the best decisions with the information and experience that you had available to you, right? There might be 100,000 trainings on 3-phase marketing, right? Or collections or a variety of other things. But, the reality is there's little to no training on building and scaling teams. And most of the people that know how to do it will only tell you the one way they know how to do it, but it's having a formula that works for everybody and makes it unique to you. So I think like the first part is like just letting whatever happen, happen. Now, the other part, the other side of the coin is, right? It's the Jim Rohn quote, right? He's like, you can always have more in life because you can always be more than you are. Now, on the flip side of the coin, if you're not going to change who you are, you'll always have what you got, right? And so on the other side of this coin is, now that you know all this stuff, if you don't do anything, then yes, it's on you, right? But up until this point, like self-discovery, clarity, not rushing to do things. Like, look, by answering all of these questions, you're going to get to a place of clarity and be like, oh, I've looked at numbers, I've talked to people, right? The sole purpose of data is to be able to make future decisions off it. And that's what all these conversations are about. So come prepared because it's a small group, right? And we can have different discussions. Now, I'm going to ask all of you, March 20th, mark your calendar. It's worth the trip. We're going to have 70 people here. And I'm going to have some really interesting guests. And we have our 5-year anniversary party that night, which will be a bash of like 100+ people. Easily. So if you can make it, it's our first CSC Community Connect. There'll be different ones, but there will be no other party we throw like our 5-year anniversary. So check your emails. If you have any questions or want to connect about coming here, need details, just email info@Coaching. Our team is everything, hotel accommodations. Last time I checked, flights are fairly inexpensive, right? You can get a hotel for like a couple $100. It's not crazy, but you know, it's a good time to come down here. And if a group of you want to go to corporate HQ, I can work with leadership and set up something really unique for you guys and help you guys get meetings with other agents. So definitely make the trip if you can. It's always love in my heart. Love you all. We're going to upload the slides and you can go through the applied learnings. And really the main thing is go through all the questions, especially the clarity part and speaking with your team members and staff. All right, everyone, this is keep on keeping on. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.